Fairies. Fairies are a concept that has existed in human folk lore for long ages. Long ago, humans incarnate often had much more natural psychic abilities than they generally have today, although this will change gradually. So, many people could see into the etheric realms. In those realms, exist a number of creatures that would usually be invisible to modern man, but were perfectly visible to many, long ago. Some of these forms are just thought forms, but there are also a number of creatures that are real, within the etheric realms. Thus, we get the concept of fairies of different sorts, shapes, and sizes. As man tried to comprehend what he saw, he invented names for them: sprites, elves, dwarves, gnomes, and so on. Under certain circumstances, it was possible to communicate with them telepathically. Generally speaking, the nature spirits have a certain degree of intelligence, and are also very psychic, so they can easily read, from the auras of a human, their intentions, and will refrain from contact with unpleasant people. They will, sometimes, strike up, almost a friendship with certain nice people, and with whom they feel comfortable connecting. They tend to be playful creatures, and delight in aping our behavior. The fairy wedding is a typical one, in which they create, etherically, wedding clothes, enact a ceremony, and then dance for hours. Another one is the fairy ring, where they sit on stools, created from etheric matter, and enact a meeting, and they will appear to discuss, gravely, some problem, or other. It is all play acting, of course, rather as children will ape adult behavior, but it is very entertaining to watch. The Changeling. This concept occurs when a baby is substituted for a fairy. This cannot actually happen, as human babies are of our dimension, and fairies are etheric. It is uncertain when this concept started, but, if ever a baby is substituted for another, we should look for a rational explanation. However, we wish to make it clear, that these delightful little creatures do exist in the etheric realms, and are sometimes seen by people who have the ability, and desire, to look into the etheric realms. They should not be interfered with, if seen, and there certainly should not be any attempt to capture, or to harm one. Of course, being etheric, they cannot be captured, nor harmed by humans, but these beings can attack people psychically, and cause mental, or emotional harm, to a human. As with all nature beings, it is best to leave them alone, although, as was said, occasionally a friendship can be struck up between a human and a fairy. They do not eat nor drink, nor do they require shelter, although a human might see them pretending to have a banquet, sitting around a table, eating and drinking. It has been said that putting Christmas lights around a bush or a tree will attract them, or by leaving food out, will do the same. This is not true. Fairies are not drawn to colored lights, but they might be attracted by the kind thoughts that the person who decorated the bush or tree put out. The food will, of course, be appreciated by various animals, so the food will not be wasted. To recapitulate, fairies are a form of nature spirit that exists in the etheric realms, and are sometimes seen by people with some clairvoyant sight. They are real within their realm, but cannot enter physicality. As a last statement, we will say that some digital cameras can see into the lower etheric realm, and thus, certain types of etheric creatures might be photographed. These, generally, would be lower-order nature spirits. The fairies exist on several levels of the etheric realms. The less attractive-looking ones are in the lower realms, while the more beautiful ones are to be found in the higher etheric realms, and thus, are more difficult for people to see. It depends on the degree of psychic and clairvoyant ability of the human concerned.